Okay. We are live on YouTube. So welcome again to everyone joining us on YouTube, on Zoom, or in person. We are going to get started with our service. Let me just do a little spotlighting. So that we have the people that we want to see. And now I'm going to share our prayer book to the screen. If you have a physical prayer book, i.e. you're here in the room and you want one, the prayer books are over to the side. If you didn't pick one up, as I give the page numbers, you will probably see at the bottom of the page 2 sets of page numbers. One is blue and in brackets. The other one is not. You want the one that's blue and in brackets. Those are the numbers I'm giving. So we are going to begin on page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Is there someone who would like to do the blessing over the candles? Freema wants to. Freema is ready. Okay, I'll light the candles for us. Maybe. There we go.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu leil ha'neder shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
We turn now to page 123 for the Kiddush. Is there anybody who would like to read the Kiddush in English for us today? Alan? Alan Zaro.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage as a reminder of the work of creation. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You chose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat.
If you're able, I invite you to rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קדשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. הבנו וחטא ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
You may be seated. We turn now to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, the mystical medieval poem that comes to say to us, turn to one another and say, beloved, come with me to greet the Shabbat bride. And we imagine Shabbat as a beautiful bride bringing joy to our Shabbat day. We sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and it's our custom on the last verse to rise if we're able and face the doorway and bow to the bride as we imagine her entering. Page 138.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בורקו מהורי. הורי, הורי שידברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship on page 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
On page 148, I invite you to read with me. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Hichem chayinu ve'orech yaminu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla Ve'ahavat ha'al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohiv Amo Yisrael.
The Shema is on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך בדיבורך בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וכשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Emet. On page 157 in the bracketed numbers at the top of the page, I invite you to read with me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יא לי 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 Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, leshalom. Ve'amidinu, shomreinu lechayim. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו, השכיבנו לשלום. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Page 162.
Vishameru בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
The tefillah begins on page 164. I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohe avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohe Avraham, Elohe Yitzchak, v'Elohe Yaakov, Elohe Sarah, Elohe Rivka, Elohe Rachel, v'Elohe Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני בחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. On page 173, I'd like to invite you to read with me. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We come now to Modim, our blessing of gratitude. And it is our custom at this time to open it up to everybody who's feeling grateful for something today and allow them to share it. So if you are on Zoom, you are welcome to add it in the chat, or you can unmute and tell us out loud. And of course, those of you here in the room have no choice if you want to tell us what you're grateful for, but to do so out loud. I suppose you could write it on a piece of paper and hold it up, but that seems like a lot of work. Diane Schenker.
I am grateful for my beautiful family. May they stay well. And for my wonderful home attendants who are so kind and giving.
Amen. Linda Kushner Silverman.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm grateful that my oncologist said I do not have lung cancer. Yay.
That's great. It's always good not to have lung cancer.
Exactly.
Rima.
I am grateful that tomorrow I'll be attending my friend's 80th birthday party, and that New Year's was good. And so far, thank God, all my family are okay.
Amen. What about folks here in the room? Anybody feeling grateful today? Mona is grateful to be here in person on this beautiful evening with no snow, no rain, and no fog. Yeah. I am grateful that my husband and our two daughters arrived safely in Mexico, where they're going to be for a week with my mother-in-law. I didn't go. Who else is grateful? I know we have some in the chat. Let's see. Patricia is grateful to be home and starting another year. Robert is grateful for the new year. Charlotte is grateful for the promise of another year. Karen is grateful for family, friends, and Shabbat services. Patricia is also grateful that Jerome Taylor is home from the rehabilitation center and still recuperating. Gail is grateful for reconnecting with a long lost cousin, seeing dear friends, and looking forward to going to Southern California for a month with Bob. Enjoy your snowbirding. Modim anachnu lach for that. Going to the land of Mary Lou. Mary Lou, who is on the Zoom, is in San Diego. Just so you know. All right. Anybody else?
I'm grateful that this coming week, Emily goes to Boston for the next round of the Metropolitan Opera competition, and she's staying very relaxed. So that's good news.
Amen to that. Emily is our cantorial soloist, Noni Schuster Donato's daughter, and also has an amazing voice.
So fingers crossed.
All right. Diane Shanker was just crossing her fingers for you. So page 176. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, is on page 178.
Shalom Rav, Val Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Val Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We have come now to our quiet prayer, Tfilat Halev, the prayer of the heart, when we take a moment quietly. If you want words, there are words on pages 180 and 181 of the prayer book. If you can see the screen, there are words on the screen. But of course, we can use always the words that are in our own hearts. We continue quietly.
יהיו לרצון אמרפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון אמרפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri vegoali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri vegoali.
May the words of our mouths and the meditations in our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
We turn our thoughts now to those among us and those in our hearts who are ill and who are in need of healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. You can find the Misha Berach on page 371 in the middle of the page. And those of you who are on Zoom, if you have names you would like to add for anyone for whom you are praying for healing this evening, you can put that in the chat and everyone will have a chance also to add names out loud. We hold in our thoughts and in our hearts for healing today Dan Sacker, Ira Weiss, Allison Plummer, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Susan Sisler, Joellen Fox, Alan Fremer, Valerie Pace, George Landberg, Sarah Ratliff, Kenny Schweiger, Leslie Hirsch, Dana Haitkin Nelson, Gesundheit, Barbara Weiner, Joan Lifshitz, Ellen Greenberg, Genevieve Lightfoot, Amy Jaskowitz Soonseller, Deanna Roth, Jonathan Falkowski, Martha and Ed Vincent, Ingrid Grosso, Audrey Cohen, Eddie DeAngelis, Vicky Lightnaker, Nettie Trommer, Mia Gannon, Jerry Prezioso, Jeff Abel, Monica Beyer, Leslie Hirsch, Michelle Nadell, Elaine Evans, Mark Fogel, Jonathan Dash, Maureen Dash, Erwin and Patty Cohen, Grivi Vargas, Paul Gold, Howard Denkowitz, Samuel Rhodes, Rose Curas, Edith Samuels, Deborah Kosman, Quentin Terry Schmidt, Shira Reese, Jeffrey Schwimmer, Grace Schneider. Jerome Taylor, Ed Robinson, Joanna Marie, Teresa O'Sullivan, Jimmy Jenkins, Chanel Kamabach, Juliette Dale, Maureen Dale, Elena Aram, Warren Feliz, Sylvia Silva, DeAndre Wynn, Jennifer Magoob, Sarah West, Tamia Bethia Williams, Jacques Cohen, Lenny Fain, Florence Schoen, Cynthia Wilson, Stacy and David Mauser, Hannah Paines, Arlene Kakulis, Carol Rosen, Harriet Holtzman, Stephen Jubileerer, Ian Levitt, Tom and Fern Hammond, Ernst Tornin Casa, Laura Cricky, Laney and Larry Vinicow, Jeannie Green, Susan and Tony Vi, Estelle Altor, Art Torres, Elliot Woofsey, Pat Flood, Cindy Rabinowitz, George Riddler, Amy Langer, Dr. Craig Rosenbaum, Nancy Kelly, Roz Nadell, Ann Kelly, Leslie Ellis, Shirley Tepper, David Wyckoff, Linda and Howard Simca, Joseph Mondano, Michelle Bracco. Frima?
Richard Carlander, Diana Gonzalez, Martin Bennett, Jane and Lenny Walensky, Arlene and Stephen Schneier, Kathy's brother Gabby. I think that's it.
Linda Kushner Silverman. Can you unmute, Linda?
Sorry. Jackson and Tara Kushner, Carol and Stevie Doppelt, Phyllis Benjamin, Shelley Samet, and Harvey Crevoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Schenker.
Patricia Terrell.
And if you're in the room, if you have names to add, would you rise or raise your hand? Mona? Janice? Alan? We include also all of those who have been wounded in service to our country or Israel, those who are suffering from COVID-19, and those who have been harmed in other disasters, including natural disasters like floods and whatever else has been going on lately, and human created disasters as well, including gun violence. Page 371 in the middle of the page.
Mishabera Avotino Mikara Brahotino. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikora bracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Once again, Shabbat Shalom. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. That's what we traditionally say, as Freeman knows and loves, when we read the last parsha of one of the books of the Torah, as we do this week with Parshat Vayechi. One translation of chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek is be strong, and we will get stronger. Chazak is singular, addressing each one of us as an individual. Nit chazek is plural and in the future tense, hence we will get stronger. Not to get too deep into the grammar, which I know not everybody totally loves, but the form of the verb nit chazek is called hitpael, and often verbs in that form are reflexive verbs. So it's stuff you do to or for ourselves. So we could also translate it as we will strengthen ourselves. It's interesting that this is what we recite when we finish reading a book in the Torah. It speaks to community and the strength that is in community. Even though chazak, be strong, is singular, it's in the second person. So it's not speaking of a person who is alone. We're encouraging one another. Be strong. You be strong, and you be strong, and you get a car. That was an Oprah joke. So then we recognize that if we are all trying to be strong, v'nit chazek, we as a group will get stronger. We might ask why it is this quality that we invoke as we transition from one book to the next. Why not love or justice or Torah study? I mean, it is the Torah that we're reading. Maybe because all of those other suggestions require strength for them to happen. Strength of will, strength of character, strength of discipline. As with physical strength, we can increase these other kinds of strength with practice. I know that none of us feel strong all the time. I certainly don't. And some of us don't feel strong very much of the time at all. And that's another reason that we need community, so that when we aren't feeling strong ourselves, we can lean on the strength of others in the community. And in some cases, be reminded that not feeling strong is not always the same thing as not being strong. Sometimes we need other people to remind us of that. There are also different kinds of strength. At the beginning of December last year, in 2022, Sydney McGee taught us at her bat mitzvah in her Devar Torah about the quiet kind of strength and leadership of the pioneers of the LGBTQIA+ rights in this country, the quiet strength and leadership that they have displayed. Strength is not always loud or flashy. And in fact, a lot of the time, it isn't. Let's take a moment to look back over Joseph's life, Joseph in our Torah portion, and the various ways in which he displays strength. In his early life as his father's favorite, he is given power in the family, even though he is the youngest. But he doesn't use that attention that's focused on him and the attendant influence in his family. He doesn't use it very well. He reports negatively about his brothers to their father, and he shares dreams in which the rest of the family bow down to him. When his brothers sell him into slavery out from under his father's love and protection, Joseph has to find himself a whole other kind of strength. An enslaved person is always at the mercy of others. And Joseph would not have had the freedom to speak his mind or do whatever he wanted the way he did at home. He had to develop restraint and endurance. And Joseph, it seems, did that right. He rises to prominence in the home of his owner, Potiphar. But when Potiphar's wife is attracted to him and comes on to him, it puts Joseph in an impossible position. He opts to reject her aggressive advances and winds up unjustly in prison. And then again, he needs strength to endure both the condition of imprisonment and the injustice of it. By the time he is taken to Pharaoh to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, Joseph is a man with the strength and the courage to speak truth to power. He doesn't try to spin the meaning of Pharaoh's dreams in a positive way, but tells him the true meaning and then advises him on how to handle the famine that is to come. As a result, he becomes a very important official in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. Once again, he receives strength and power from someone else, but unlike his father's favoritism, in this case, he has demonstrated his capability. The real test of Joseph's strength and how he might choose to use it comes when his brothers, those same brothers who sold him into slavery, show up during the famine in need of food. He recognizes them, but they don't recognize him. And I think that's not only because they couldn't even imagine that their kid brother would become an important Egyptian official, the same kid that they sold to some traders, but also because Joseph was by this time a very different person from the teenager he was when they last saw him. All that he had been through transformed him, as we are all transformed by our life experiences. This man, who as a boy told his family that they would bow down to him, put his brothers through some ordeals to ascertain that they too had changed. But he then exhibited the strength of restraint. He found that he did not need or want revenge on his brothers, did not need or want them to bow down to him. What he wanted was to be with his father again, and he gets that. Sometimes we need the strength of action. Sometimes we need the strength not to act. We speak of strength when we transition from one book of the Torah to the next, and often moments of transition in our lives are when we need the most strength, because transitions bring uncertainty and are some of the hardest parts of what we have to go through. As we transition now from Genesis to Exodus and from 2022 to 2023, chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and we will all get stronger together. Amen and Shabbat Shalom.
May this be a year of love and kindness. May strangers come to be friends. May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen. May this be a year of hope and healing for all of those in need. May all of our deeds be a blessing. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. May this be a year of selfless giving. May this be a year of peace. And may we forgive and be forgiven. Amen. A new year, a good year, a chance to start all over. A new year, a sweet year, a chance to bring us closer. Closer to the ones we love, a world that we can be proud of, long as there are stars above. There comes a new year. Amen.
I know it's not the new year on the Jewish calendar, but we have 4 New Years on the Jewish calendar. So why can't we have another one? We turn now to the Aleinu. It begins on page 586 on the bottom half of the page. And I invite you, if you're able, to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, עתיד גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו כחומונם. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו, אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבות ללבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו. ונעמה וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. And sorry, folks on Zoom, I had the wrong version.
I had the wrong version.
No, I had the wrong. Well,
Well,
whatever. We
we
were
had
not
the wrong-
coordinated on the version.
that was me. Space
It was a little bit of both because I said we were starting at the bottom of the page, and that is the version that you did. I am at the top of the page, but then that wouldn't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Some things are not important. But what is important is that we are turning our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us. our loved ones who have died in the past days or weeks or months or in past years at this time of the year. I am sharing our yard site list for the coming week to the screen. Those of you in the room have that list in your yellow bulletin that you maybe picked up on the way in. Those of you on Zoom, if you have names you would like to add for the mourners Kaddish, you can put them in the chat and everyone will have a chance to add names out loud. We remember those who have died in the past year. Eva Braxmajor, Madeline Hyatt, Ed Friedman, Ronald Homan, Erwin Bernstein, Shirley Amrani, Harry Goldberg, Lisa Friedman, Eleanor Teplitz, Patricia Christensen, Thea Platt-Glasser, Sharon Cooper, William Fritz, Bernard Cohen, Lucy Palazzolo, Blair Ford, Shlomo Nakash, Arlene Scher, Abraham Finkel, Ron Cricky, Mimi Karp, Rochelle Rolnick, Elaine Drucker, Matthew Brunner, Maddie Rosenbaum, Myron Jacobson, Lester Schenker, John Belay, Yefim Polyak, the Reverend Eleanor Lee McGee Street, Arthur Goldstein, Lotta Bloom, Irv Golden, Arthur Derry, Andrew Mazzella, Joyce Braziller, Linda Gilbert Schneider, Della Cohen, Fran Arnowitz, and Selma Carl. Included on our yard site list today are Rosita Albino, Candy Friedman's mother, Lorraine Bennett, Frima Schneier's sister, Harold Carl, Charlotte Russell's brother-in-law, and it's his first yard site, Simon Davis, Judy Silversmith's father, Charles Drucker, Madeline Kay's father, Charles Fenster, Gail Resnikoff's father, Sylvia Wolfson Fried, Gail Levine Fried's mother, Mary Gersonowicka, Daniel Silverman's aunt, Evelyn Kistner, Doreen Arano's mother, Michael Cohn, Diane Figueroa's brother, David Levy, Linda Kushner Silverman's brother, Max Rudman, Shirley Spivak's father, Ruth Silverman, Ira Silverman's mother, Frida Stockhammer, Elliot Drucker's mother-in-law, and Ann Sisler, Susan Sisler's mother. Frima?
Yeah, my sister Lorraine, she died January 12th, 2001. Everybody talks about 9/11, 2001. And my year started off with a bang, and she's gone for a long time, and I miss her a lot. I wish she was here to talk to. Thank you.
Thank you, Frima. Gail and Bob?
Yes, Rabbi, Sylvia Wolfson Fried was my mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. We are also including, we mentioned Linda Kushner Silverman's beloved brother, and I guess her aunt, Mary Gersonowitz, David Levy. Karen reminds us that it is the second yard site of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who was killed defending the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th of 2021. He was honored posthumously today, along with others, George Politis and Paul Markowitz. Anyone else have names to add? Please rise or raise your hand. Alan? Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? Okay. We also include all of those who have died from COVID-19. We include also those who have died from other causes, whether or not they had anyone to say Kaddish for them, and whether they died in war or famine or terror or disaster, or alone and homeless on the streets of our cities. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. And I invite you, if you're able, to rise and join in or to participate according to your own custom. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yamru. Amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shemei dekudasha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved wherever they may be. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
Bimaroma. Oyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru ve'yimeru. Amen. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
V'yimru. Amen. A few announcements before we conclude. Tomorrow morning at 9:45 is religious school. And at 10 o'clock is B'yachad, which is adults in conversation with each other. It's from 10 to about 10:45. It's on Zoom and in person in the community room. So everybody is welcome to that as well. And then at 11 a.m. is Shabbat services back here in the sanctuary on Zoom and in person. On Sunday, which is January 8th already, at 9:30 a.m. is a brotherhood meeting on Zoom. And after that meeting at 11 a.m., Doctors Gail Levine Fried and Bob Fried are going to be leading a workshop on stress management. And that is also going to be on Zoom. Monday, January 9th at 4 p.m. is Gentle Chair Yoga and Gentle Qigong with meditation and Jewish wisdom, also led by Doctors Gail Levine Fried and Bob Fried on Zoom. You can register for that on Eventbrite. On Tuesday, January 10th, the Women of Beshert, a sisterhood organization, are hosting guest speaker, financial advisor Mitchell Nelson. That will be on Zoom also. On Thursdays, you guessed it, on Zoom at 1 p.m., I lead Torah study. It's our deep dive into the Torah. We are in Genesis. They've been in Genesis now for over a year. And we're, we just talked about Jacob and Esau reuniting because we're going really slow. We do like somewhere between 5 and 10 verses a week because we read lots of commentaries on them and have great discussions. It's super fun. So yeah, that's on Zoom Thursdays at 1. At 7:30 p.m. is Israeli Dance on Thursdays. That's in person. Next week, I don't think this affects anyone here. but there's no religious school on January 14th due to the holiday weekend for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. There's a tzedakah plate on your way out of the sanctuary. There's a donation button on our website if you'd like to give tzedakah that way. And I think that's it. If you're here in person, please join us for an oneg in the community room following the service. We are going to close tonight with a song about peace. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. This is in the prayer book, but I don't remember what page it's on. It's also on the screen.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
I invite you to rise if you're able. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha Shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's face toward you and give you peace. Amen. And before we go over for the oneg, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for being here and celebrating Shabbat.
Shabbat
Have a
shalom.
great
Welcome
night.
back.